Welcome to the second EFAS webinar for 2019. Today we're looking at how national information is used in EFAS. And I'm very glad to be able to say that we have colleagues here today from EFAS Hydrological Data Collection Centre. Mercedes, she can present herself when she begins. Also Armin from the Meteorological Data Collection Centre, and Cinzia from EFAS Comp from the ECMWF, and then also myself, Richard Alfie-Wild from EFAS Dissemination. So let's get going. I'm actually not going to start, however, I'm just going to give a very brief introduction to how this presentation will work, how this webinar will work. We're going to look basically through this flow diagram of how the different EFAS operational centres work together and what different national data is used in each of the components that you can see on the screen. So we're going to start with the Hydrological Data Collection Centre, who obviously take care of both real-time and historical hydrological data from the EFAS partners. And then similarly, we'll look at how the Meteorological Data Collection Centre both collects in observations, but also, of course, the forecasts that are used as part of EFAS. And then we will look at how these are used in the computational centre in terms of the modelling that is done. And then lastly, I will talk very briefly about how the Dissemination Centre uses your national information in different ways. I will just then round up with how we use national information at the Dissemination Centre. I mean, you've already seen quite clearly that most of the work is done by our colleagues at the upstream end of the Dissemination Centre. We are simply the ones that issue the forecast, and thankfully all that hard work to collect the national information means that we can produce more reliable forecasts. But there are a few things that I wanted to point out that we do that you may not be aware of. So one of the things we do, actually totally unrelated to what information is provided in EFAS, is that when we produce the daily ERCC overview, this is the summary of everything that is currently ongoing within EFAS, we also have a look at every national hydrological service within the EFAS partner network. And there we provide a summary of what is going on at the national level. So we can take that information both from the ongoing floods layer that was shown by Mercedes in EFAS, but also we actually go in and for each of the three EFAS dissemination partners, Riksfortestat, SHMU and SMHI, we each go into different websites and we actually check what is going on. And that's very important because it gives the ERCC both confidence in the warnings and notifications that are issued by national, respectively, EFAS services. But it also means that if there are any events that are not captured by EFAS, then they are still communicated to the ERCC. So there's one way we actually do use national information, but it's not specifically information that you're sending to EFAS. The other thing we do actually is we use the observations which are available to us as a criteria for when we deactivate flood notifications. So you've already seen the plot on the top here from what was just shown by Cinzia with the real-time observations. But we also have a criteria which defines when we remove or deactivate the flood notification, and that is, as it's highlighted in red here on this box, that we remove an EFAS flood notification when observations reported by the National or Regional Hydrological Service clearly indicate that the EFAS flood notification is either a false alarm, or secondly, that they indicate that the discharges or water levels have decreased to normal values, whilst EFAS still shows that the simulated discharge exceeds the threshold. So we are actually checking your national information in order to remove EFAS flood notifications, which is very, very important, so that we're not issuing information when it's no longer relevant. The last thing we do in terms of collecting information from national providers is the very, very important feedback that you currently provide for for formal flood notifications. At the moment, it's just for formal flood notifications. That information is obviously collected each time we send out a formal flood notification. You simply click on the link on the email, and then there is a quite easy to use feedback form, which is then entered into a database. Clearly, that information can be used both in validation of past events, but it can also be used in the future to help validate EFAS forecasts in a more systematic way. So there we're obviously building a quite significant database at European scale of whether or not these flood notifications were valid or not. And there is a plan and that is ongoing that it will be extended to also missed events, so that we'll start getting an archive of both the events that we've issued, but also any missed events. That's not available yet. So those really are the main things we do. So like I said, to be honest, most of the work in terms of using national data is done by our colleagues in order to then make the forecast that we use for the basis of issuing notifications better. I think you have a very good picture now that there is a lot of work going on, and the data that you provide is extremely important for improving EFAS in the future.